Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears here. Today I'm going to be using the new Violet Studio Hoppy Easter collection and I'll be making 15 different cards. This collection has a lot of pastel colors with flowers, bunnies, Easter eggs, and it's perfect for spring and Easter paper crafting projects. I recently did an unboxing of this entire collection here on my YouTube channel, and if you haven't seen it yet, I will link it at the top right corner of this video, as well as in the description box below so that you can check it out. This collection is exclusive to scrapbook.com, and I will have links to the entire collection and all of the products that I use on my cards in the description box below and on my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com. There will also be up-close pictures of all my cards on my blog, and you can also find my coordinating blog post link in the description box of this video. In addition to the pattern papers that I'll be using on my cards, I'm also going to be bringing in some solid color cardstock to coordinate with the pattern papers. And I found that the papers in the Floral Smooth Cardstock pack and the Sherbet Smooth Cardstock pack matched closely with the pattern papers in the Hoppy Easter collection. And both of these paper pads are scrapbook.com exclusives. The pattern paper in this collection comes in 3 sizes. It comes in a 12x12, 6x6, and 8x8 pad, and I'll be using the 6x6 paper pad and the 12x12 paper pad for my cards today. So I cut that bunny pattern paper down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then the confetti pattern paper is 5 inches by 1, and I just put the confetti paper at a diagonal across the center of the bunny paper. And then I'm taking this peach colored ribbon, as that's part of the collection kit. I put some double-sided tape behind it, and I'm just going to put this ribbon right across the center of the confetti pattern paper. I'm going to snip it here on the end, and I'm going to wrap this ribbon around the back of my card, and having that double-sided adhesive tape allows that ribbon to stay flat on the card. I'm going to add the pattern paper to a piece of this solid pink cardstock. That's from the Floral Pattern Paper Pad from scrapbook.com. I cut that pink solid paper to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I'm also going to be using the Easter egg card topper. This collection does come with a pack of card toppers, which you'll see me use on a lot of my cards today. I'm just putting a little piece of scrap paper at the top and bottom of this egg just so that it lays flat on my card, because the middle of the egg is slightly raised because it's sitting on that pattern paper and ribbon. So by adding that scrap cardstock, it helps that egg to lay flat. I go ahead and add this to an A2 size card base and add some of the gems to the centers of the flowers on the egg. And that's going to complete this card. For my next card, I'm using the Hey There Hop Stuff card topper, and I'm going to add it to a teal circle that I die cut with the scrapbook.com circle dies, and this is a 3 1/2 inch circle. The teal cardstock that I'm using for this card is from the scrapbook.com Sherbet paper pad. I also have a piece of the striped paper that I cut down to 4 inches by 2 3/4 inches, and I'm adding it to a piece of teal cardstock that I cut to 4 1/8 by 2 7/8, and then the egg pattern paper is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And I'm adding that to also a piece of teal cardstock, and the teal cardstock behind the egg paper is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, so the exact size of an A2 size card. I'm using the teal ribbon that came with this collection kit. I added some double-sided adhesive tape to the back, and I'm just going to add it across the width of the card, and then I'll secure the ribbon on the back side of the card. I'll add the card topper right to the center of my card, and then I just tied another piece of the ribbon in a bow, added a glue dot behind it, and I'm adding it to the right side of that card. I'm going to add this to an A2 size card base. So my card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and I'll finish up this card by adding some of the adhesive gems to the centers of the flowers. This collection also comes with a pack of sentiment stickers that you can add to either the front or the inside of your cards. So I'm taking one of the stickers here and adding it to the center. So this says, "There's no bunny like you." And that will complete my second card. So moving on to my next card, I have this piece of pattern paper that has these 3 by 3 inch squares from the 6 by 6 paper pad, and I want to use this bunny. It will fit perfectly inside of this frame that's part of the card toppers. So I'm going to use my paper trimmer and just cut right above the sentiment on here. But don't throw the sentiment away because we're going to be using it on this card. So here I just put the frame over top of the bunny. It still is a little bit too long on the left and right side. So all I'm going to do is take my scissors and I'm just going to trim that extra cardstock off of the left and right side. So for any of you who've been following me for a while, you know that I love to make shaker cards. So when I saw this frame, I knew I had to turn it into a shaker. So I'm taking a piece of the 1/4 inch double-sided adhesive tape and I'm adding it to the back of my frame. And I'm going to add this to a piece of acetate. So I'm just going to press this down really well so that that tape sticks. And then I'm going to peel off the backing of the tape and I'll add this frame to a piece of acetate. I'll press that frame down to make sure it gets a good stick to the acetate, and then I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip off the acetate that extends from the edges so that I can have a clean edge. Next, I'm going to take some of the scrapbook.com double-sided adhesive foam strips and I'm going to add foam all along the back side of this frame. And when I'm adding my foam, I want to make sure that the foam is connected on all sides. I don't want to leave any gaps. So you can see here I have a little bit of a gap, but I'm just going to take another piece of foam and cut it down to size and add it to my frame. And the reason I'm doing this is because once I add the shaker pieces, I want to make sure that none fall out. Okay, so next I'm going to take this pack of sequins. This is the 28 Lilac Lane Sunshine sequins, and I'm just adding some to my piece of pattern paper. I don't want to have a whole lot in here because I don't want to cover up the bunny. So I take out what I don't want and then I'm going to remove the adhesive backing from the foam and I'm going to place that frame right over top of the sequins with the pattern paper. Make sure all the sequins are towards the middle and there's none along the sides because you don't want to accidentally put your frame on top of the sequins. Next, I have a piece of teal solid cardstock from the scrapbook.com Sherbet Solid Smooth Cardstock paper pad. I cut the teal paper to 4¼ by 5½ inches and I added the yellow pattern paper on top. The yellow pattern paper I cut to 4 by 5¼ I'm adding the frame towards the top of the card and then the sentiment underneath. Remember, this is the sentiment that was from the same piece of paper that the bunny was from. I'm bringing in one of these flower die cuts. This is from the card toppers pack. I'm adding a little bit of foam adhesive to the leaves so that it lays flat on the card. So you can see the flower part of that die cut is going to be on the frame and then the leaves will be on the actual card itself. So there's a little bit of a height difference. So by adding that adhesive foam, it's going to help that flower lay flat on the card. Next, I'm going to add a few of these adhesive gems to my flower. And then I'll add this layer to an A2 size card base. I am going to bring in one of the sentiment stickers and add that to the inside. So the sentiment on the inside says Hoppy Easter, and I chose that one because it has that yellow and white pattern that matches the front of the card. For my next card, I'm pulling a piece of this pattern paper from the 12 by 12 paper pad. What I love about this paper is that there are these 4 6x6-inch square cut-aparts. You can cut these down and you can add them to a 6x6-inch card base, and that will make for such an easy and quick card because they're already decorated for you and they already have a sentiment. But what I'm going to do is I want to make this into a A2 size card because I do know that square cards, they do cost a little bit more money to mail, and not everyone likes to spend that extra postage for mailing a square card. So I'm going to cut this down to an A2 size card by using this oval die that is about the same size of this bunny. So I'm just going to place the oval right over top of the bunny, and I'm going to put some mint tape on here to hold it down. I will run this through my die cutting machine, and that will cut out just the bunny. For this card, I'm not going to worry about the sentiment, but I did cut out another layer of a little bit of a larger oval using some solid color cardstock, and this orange cardstock is from the Sherbet Smooth Cardstock paper pad. I'm going to go ahead and attach those two ovals together, and then I have the floral print. And this floral print is 4 by 5¼ inches, and I'm also going to add that to another piece of orange solid paper that I cut to 4¼ by 5½ inches. I'll add the oval on top of the rectangle layers, and then I'm going to add 2 of these flower die cut pieces. These are from the Card Toppers pack, so I'll just layer those on the top right of the oval. Next, I'm going to bring in this tag, but I'm going to cut this little area off the side that has a hole where you can actually put a piece of ribbon or twine through. I want it to lie flush on the card, so I just cut that off. And I'm also going to bring in a yellow pom-pom. There is a box of pom-poms that go with this collection, so I just added a glue dot and added the pom-pom as the tail of the bunny. Now, because I added the pom-pom, this card unfortunately would be hard to put in the mail, so you don't have to put this pom-pom on here if you were mailing the card. I'm going to go ahead and add a few of the adhesive gems. I'm adding some pink ones because I wanted to bring out some of the pink that the sentiment has in it. And that's going to complete this card. For my next card, I have a piece of the flower pattern paper that I cut to 4¼ by 5½ inches, and I'm adding the stripe pattern paper to the left side. The stripe pattern paper is 3/4 inch by 5½ inches. I'm taking this ribbon that came with this collection kit, and I'm adding a piece of double-sided adhesive to one side, and I'm going to add this ribbon over top of the intersection of where those pattern papers meet. And then I'm going to wrap this around the back and just adhere the ribbon to the back of the card to secure it. I'm going to use the card topper that says, "Don't worry, be hoppy." And I'll add that to the front of the card so that it's slightly over top of the ribbon. I'm going to add some of the adhesive gems to the flowers on the card topper, and then I'll add this card layer to an A2 size card base. This collection also comes with a pack of mini bows in various colors in the collection, and I'll add a pink one to the top of the card. For my next card, I cut down a strip of this Easter egg pattern paper. This is from the 6x6 paper pad. I cut it so that the Easter egg and the sentiment displays along the bottom. The words say, "So excited, hip hop hooray, and have an excellent Easter." I go ahead and add that to a piece of striped pattern paper that I cut to 4 by 5¼ and I'm adding that to a piece of the pink solid cardstock from the floral paper pad. The pink cardstock measures 5½ by 4¼ inches, and I'm also going to be adding this Hoppy Easter sentiment from the card topper pack as well as the flower from the card topper pack, and I'll add that towards the top part of that card. And then I will finish up this card by adding some pink and green gems and then adding this to an A2 size card base. And that will complete this card. For my next card, I have a piece of the yellow and white paper that I cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I'm adding it to a piece of the teal solid cardstock. The teal cardstock is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And then I'm adding this flower pattern paper towards the bottom of the card. I cut that to 1 3/4 by 4 1/8, and I cut a strip of the teal solid cardstock to 1/2 by 4 1/8, and I'm adding that to the card as well. I'm going to be using the tag shape. The tag shape says "Some Bunny Loves You," and I'll add that to my card, and I'm going to add one of the bows from the collection kit to the top. I'll add that to an A2 size card base, and I'll add a few of the gems to the front of the card, and that will complete this card. For my next card, I cut a piece of white cardstock to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and I want to create a fishtail edge. So I have this die from Sunny Studio Stamps, and I'm placing it here on the white cardstock where I want to die cut the cardstock. I go ahead and run this through my black platinum Spellbinders machine, and notice that it does cut a little scalloped fishtail edge on the bottom of this cardstock. Next, I'm going to take this die. This die has some stitching along the edge, and it came with this pack of fishtail dies that I purchased. I'm going to place it here on the scalloped edge and run it back through my die cut machine. Now, this die does not actually cut anything out. It just puts the stitched border all along that scalloped edge. So now I'm going to add this layer as well as a piece of pattern paper to my A2 size card base. So this flower pattern paper measures 3 by 4 1/4 inches, and I'll put that at the bottom of my card base, and then I'll add the white scalloped fishtail border layer to the top of the card base. So I don't know if you can tell, but you can actually see that pattern paper through the white cardstock. So in order to fix this, you can do one of two things. You can either die cut another piece of cardstock with a fishtail edge and put it directly on top, or you can move it up slightly and you can layer it so that you have two scalloped edges on this card. And I really like that look, so that's the look I'm going to go with. You can see that beautiful scalloped pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back of my white cardstock and add it to the card. Again, moving it up slightly so that I have two scalloped edges shown on the card front. Now this layer is a little bit longer than the card base, so I'm just going to flip this over and I'm going to trim it with my scissors, or you can run this through your paper trimmer. For the sentiment, I'm going to take one of the sentiment stickers, and I'm using the With Love at Easter sentiment, and I'm just trimming out only the green portion. I don't want all of those flowers because it doesn't go with the pattern paper that I chose. So I'm just going to trim out the green so I have just the sentiment, and I'm going to add it to the card. I was thinking about where I wanted to put the sentiment. I could either put it at the bottom or at a diagonal along the scallop or even above the bunny. But I went ahead and chose to include it at the bottom where the flower pattern paper is. And again, these are stickers, so I just peeled back the adhesive backing and then added it to the card. I did use the Easter bunny from the card toppers pack, and I added that to the white area of the card. And now I'm just taking some of the adhesive gems and I'm adding them to the flowers on the bunny. And that will complete this card. For my next card, I'm going to use one of the 6x6 cards. This is from the Hoppy Easter card kit. This kit includes 10 pre-printed 6x6 cards as well as 10 white envelopes. There are 3 different designs on the cards in this kit. For this card, I'm going to use the pink 6x6 card with the Easter egg that says "Have an Excellent Easter," and I'm also bringing in 2 pieces of green cardstock from the floral paper pad, as well as this slimline grass die from Sunny Studio Stamps. Now you can use these cards as is, but I'm going to take it up a notch and I'm going to go ahead and decorate the front of the card. So I'm taking my grass border die and I'm going to die cut each one of the pieces of green cardstock to make a grassy border. So here I'm showing you the dark green cardstock, but I also do the light green cardstock as well. And then I'm going to use my scrapbook.com succulent ink, and I'm just going to ink up the edges of that grass just to add some depth to it. And then I'm going to take my ink blending tool and I'm just going to pounce it on top just to get a little bit of ink on top of the die cut as well. And I'm going to do that for both of these die cuts. So in addition to these two pieces, I also have this little piece, and I'm going to start with this little grassy piece and put it in the corner here. And the reason why I cut a little grassy piece this size is because you'll see when I add this lighter green piece of grass, there is room on the left hand side to actually show some grass behind it. So that's why I added it. So I go ahead and just trim off the excess of this border that's extending below the bottom of this card. I'm going to do that on the bottom and on the side. And then I'm going to add the darker green piece of grass in the front. This way I have layers of grass, and it also makes it look like this Easter egg is sitting in the grass. So this is just one way of jazzing up this card. I could stop here, but I decided to pull out the 12 by 12 paper pad and find some images that I can fussy cut out of this pattern paper. So I chose to fussy cut some flowers. I'm also going to fussy cut some more of the eggs as well as one of the bunnies. So I'm just going to use my scissors and fussy cut out some of these images. You can also, if you have some flower die cuts that you wanted to die cut, if you don't like fussy cutting, you can do that too. So I went ahead off camera and fussy cut out some of the smaller eggs, also some flower images. Also, you see there on the right side of my card, I fussy cut one of the bunnies as well as a carrot, and I'm just going to put all of these images on the front of the card. So some of the images will be tucked behind the grass and some will be on top of the grass. So I'm just kind of putting them in random places so that I have lots of flowers and some eggs and just creating this really cute little scene. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add 3 of the gems on my Easter egg. And then I'm going to take a piece of ribbon, a yellow one, from the collection, tie it in a bow, and I'm going to add this to my card. And I'll attach it to the card with a glue dot. So that's going to complete this card. For my next card, I'm going to use another 6x6 card base, and I'm looking at this 12 by 12 sheet of pattern paper with all of these smaller cut aparts, and I'm seeing what would look good against the blue background. So the yellow one looks really nice against the blue, and so does the blue and white one. That one matches perfectly, but I ultimately chose to go with this yellow and white cut apart. I am going to trim it down just because the left corner, it's actually going over the bunny's ear. So I will trim this down a little bit, and I'm going to use this scallop square die to trim it down. So I'm just going to place the die over the cut apart, making sure that the sentiment is centered. And once I have the die where I want it, I'll go ahead and grab a piece of mint tape and tape down my die. I love the stitching that this die puts right around that scalloped edge, so it just adds a little bit extra detail to the sentiment. Next, I'm going to use one of the tags. This one says, "You're a good egg." I'm bringing out some of the pink in the bunny's ears, so I chose to use the pink one. And I'm also going to bring in some Easter eggs from the pattern paper pad that I fussy cut out. I'm going to add some eggs to the sentiment as well. You technically could just leave it with just the sentiment on the actual card, but I just wanted to jazz it up a little bit by adding some more pieces. So I'll go ahead and add 5 eggs to my card, and I'm also going to add the tag in the top right hand corner. And I'm also going to add one of the teal colored bows to the tag, and I'll just attach it with a glue dot. So I want to just take a minute and mention that you can purchase the entire collection kit that includes the 12 by 12 paper, 6 by 6 paper, as well as all of these embellishments. So the gems, the card toppers, the 6x6 card bases, the stickers, the ribbon, and much more is all included in the collection kit for one price. Or if you wanted to buy the items individually, you can purchase the items individually on the website as well. And remember, there will be product links in the description box of this video. So for this 6x6 card base, it already had the wreath with the bunny and a sentiment. A lot of it was really done for you, but I figured I can go ahead and still jazz it up with some gems. So I put some of the adhesive gems inside for the centers of the flowers and added one of the bows to the wreath. For my next card, I have a piece of yellow solid cardstock from the Sherbet paper pad. I cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm adding the flower pattern paper. I cut the flower paper to 4 by 5 1/4. I also used a grass die and die cut a piece of grass out of green cardstock, and I already inked up the edges with some green ink. And I'm going to add it to the bottom of the card layer. I did cut the grass so that it is the same width as the flower paper, so it does measure 4 inches wide. I'm going to use the egg card topper as a pocket that I'm going to have the tag inside. So when you're gluing this down, make sure you don't put glue at the top of this egg card topper, because you want to be able to have this as a pocket to slide the tag inside. So you can see I'm only putting glue on the edges as well as on the bottom of the egg card topper. I'm going to tuck it behind the grass. So make sure when you glue your grass down that you don't put glue all the way at the very top of the grass, because you want to be able to tuck the eggs behind it. So I'll press that down to attach to the card, and then you can see I can add the tag inside. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm actually going to take this die. This is the scrapbook.com Floral Borders. It's a slimline die. This die is so beautiful, and the actual pack of slimline dies, it comes with 4 slimline borders. It's really pretty. I die cut 2 pieces of solid color cardstock, and I'm just inking them up with corresponding ink colors. So the teal cardstock is from the Sherbet smooth cardstock paper pad, and the green cardstock is from the floral pad, and I'm just inking up with the Oasis ink and the succulent ink from scrapbook.com. I am using my Sizzix stamp and stencil tool as my platform, just so that I don't get ink on my mat. I can easily wipe this off and clean it when I'm finished. Because this is a hybrid ink, it will not just come off with water, so I'm using an archival cleaner by Ranger and just putting it here on my platform, and it will come right off. So now I'm just going to snip these in half so that I have 4 pieces. I layered them up, and I'm just going to put glue on the bottom portion, and I'm going to tuck them behind the pocket. I'm going to adhere them to the card layer. I'm going to leave the tops loose just so that they have more dimension. And then I'm going to take the tag and put a piece of teal ribbon right through the hole and tie it in a knot. And then I'll insert my tag into that pocket. I'll go ahead and add this card layer to an A2 size card base. And then I'll add a few gems to the centers of the flowers. And here's an up-close look at what that looks like. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a sentiment on the inside. My sentiment says, "Have an excellent Easter." And that will complete this card. For my next card, I have a piece of flower pattern paper that I cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. The yellow with the white pattern is 1 7/8 by 4 1/4, and then I have this pink strip that I'm putting right down the center of the yellow pattern, and the pink strip is 1/2 inch by 4 3/4 inches. I'm using the wreath card topper that says "Wishing you the happiest Easter" and adding that to the card, and then I cut a bunny out of the 12 by 12 pattern paper, and I'm going to add it to the left side of the wreath. I'm going to add one of the ribbons in pink to the bunny, and then I'll add that to a card base. And then I'll add a few of the gems on some of the flowers on the wreath. And that will complete this card. For my next card, I have this piece of pattern paper from the 6x6 paper pad, and there are these Easter eggs on these cut aparts. I'm going to cut out the Easter eggs, and I'm also going to use the So Excited card topper from the card topper pack. So here's all the Easter eggs that I fussy cut. I also did 2 of the smaller ones from the 12x12 pattern paper, as well as one of the bunnies from the 12x12 pattern paper. So I cut down the confetti pattern paper and I cut it to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm adding it to a piece of solid pink cardstock from the Sherbet paper pad, and the pink is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I also die cut a grass die and added it to the bottom of the card. The width of the grass die is the same as the confetti paper, so it's 4 inches wide. And then I'm going to arrange all of these eggs so that some are tucked behind the grass and some are in front of the grass. And once I have them all in place, I'll go ahead and add glue and add them to the card. I'm also going to have the bunny like it's peeking out behind the Easter eggs. And I also decided to bring in a carrot from the pattern paper pad, so I'll add that to the card as well. Next, I'll add the sentiment to the top of the card. And then I'll add that layer to an A2 size card base. And I'll finish this card up by adding some of the gems to the card. I'm going to add some on the center of the flowers, on the sentiment, and I'm also going to add some to the Easter eggs. Lastly, I'll add a sentiment sticker to the inside of the card. And this sentiment says, "Happy Easter to you." For my next card, I'm going to fussy cut out the Easter eggs from the 12x12 pattern paper pad. There are 3 of them that I'm going to fussy cut out of this paper. So the pattern paper with the words on it, I cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to also take a piece of the light pink cardstock from the Sherbet paper pad that I cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I also die cut a grass die, and I'm adding it to the bottom of the pattern paper, just trimming off the edges so that the grass is the same width as the pattern paper. And I'm just finishing up putting ink on the edges. I'm going to go ahead and glue the pattern paper to the pink cardstock, and then I'm going to add the 3 Easter eggs to the grass. I'm bringing in one of the banner tags that says Happy Easter, and I'm adding it flush with the left side of the pattern paper. And I'm going to use one of the pink bows, and I'm going to add it with a glue dot to cover up the hole in that tag. I'm going to add a few gems to my Easter eggs, and then I'll add this to an A2 size card base. So I hope you liked my cards today. I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know which card is your favorite. Remember that you can see up close pictures of all of these cards over on my blog, and there will be a blog link in the description box of this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like videos like this, be sure to click that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that you'll be notified when I release new videos. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and have a wonderful day.